Maybe you're in that place where silence feels louder than any argument you ever had with her, where every hour without her message feels like a reminder that you might have already lost her, even though your heart refuses to believe that's the end. Maybe this feels familiar. You told yourself you'd go quiet. You told yourself you'd stop reaching out. You told yourself you'd finally pull back and give her space. But now that you've done it, now you're wondering if that silence is pushing her closer or pulling her even further away. If this is you, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. That tension in your chest when you check your phone, pretending you're not hoping her name pops up. That fear that maybe your silence doesn't matter to her at all, while secretly praying that it does. You replay the last conversation in your head, analyzing every word, every pause, every shift in her tone. Did she mean it when she pulled away? Did you mess up so badly that she's already moved on? Or is she sitting somewhere right now wondering why you're not chasing anymore? You don't want to feel desperate. You don't want to look weak. You want her to miss you, really miss you. Not because you're playing some game, but because you know the connection you two had wasn't average. It was real. It was intense. It was the kind of bond you don't just delete overnight. And deep down, there's a voice inside you whispering, if I stay silent long enough, will she finally feel the loss? But here's the real question you can't shake. What actually makes a woman come back after the silence? And what silently pushes her away for good? Most men think silence is a trick, a tactic, a way to force her to miss you, and that's exactly why they get this entire situation wrong. Silence isn't about punishment, pressure, or manipulation. It's about grounding yourself so deeply that you're no longer reacting to her emotions, but responding from your own center. If this is you, you've probably been acting from fear without realizing it. Fear she'll move on. Fear she'll forget you. Fear that if you don't reach out, she never will. Those fears make a man abandon his own frame, chase validation, and try to fix things before she's even had time to feel your absence. And when you operate like that, you stop being the man she was drawn to in the first place. A core masculine principle most men overlook is emotional leadership, not controlling her, but controlling yourself. When you go silent from a grounded place, you're not pulling away to get a reaction. You're pulling back so the dust can settle, so your value can be felt again, and so you can see clearly without drowning in your own anxiety. Another principle is non-attachment. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means your identity isn't tied to her responses. When a man reaches this level, his silence doesn't feel like a tantrum. It feels like stability. Women feel that difference more than you think. You might believe she'll only come back if you do something big, dramatic, or emotional. But in reality, she comes back when your energy shifts from needy to grounded, from chasing to centered. And once you understand that, you start to realize something most men never consider. It's not the silence itself that makes her come back. It's the man you become while you're quiet. It's late, the kind of late where the world goes quiet in a way that feels intentional, like everything is holding its breath. You're sitting on the edge of your bed, phone face down beside you, glowing faintly every time a notification hits. Every buzz makes your heart jump even though you already know it isn't her. It hasn't been her for days. The room feels colder tonight, not because the temperature changed, but because she's not here. Her voice isn't here. Her warmth isn't here. All that's left is the echo of the last time she walked away and the silence that followed. You remember that moment too clearly. The way she looked back one last time, like she wanted to say something but didn't. And then it was gone, her footsteps fading, the door clicking shut. It's strange how something so small can sound so final. Now, sitting there, you feel the weight of everything you didn't say. The moments you should have handled differently, the softness you wish you had shown, or maybe the strength you wish you hadn't abandoned. But the silence you're in now feels different. It isn't panic anymore. It isn't chasing. It's stillness. A stillness you didn't know you needed. For the first time, you're not trying to fix anything, not refreshing her profile, not typing messages you delete before sending. You're just breathing, realizing how long it's been since you actually felt yourself. And somewhere in that stillness, a thought hits you, a quiet truth you almost forgot. She won't come back because you reach harder. She'll come back when she feels what it's like to lose the man who's finally found his center. Outside, a car passes by, its headlights sweeping through the room. The shadows shift, and for the first time in a long time, you feel something steady forming inside you, a calm that whispers, almost like it's answering your fear. Just wait, she'll feel this. Most men walk into silence with the wrong map. They think they're doing the right thing by pulling back, but deep down they're still operating from fear, assumptions, and beliefs that have been sabotaging them long before she ever pulled away. And if you don't break these beliefs, silence won't save anything. It will just make you feel more lost. The first false belief is this: if I stay silent long enough, she'll magically realize what she lost. Silence doesn't work like a spell. It's not a countdown that forces her heart to wake up. What actually affects her isn't the time you're gone. It's the energy you had before you left. If you were anxious, insecure, or reactive, silence doesn't erase that. But when your energy shifts during the silence, when your presence becomes grounded instead of needy, that's when she feels the difference. Short quote. Time doesn't make her miss you. Your transformation does. The second false belief is she's not reaching out because she doesn't care. That's not always true. Sometimes she's confused. Sometimes she's protecting herself. Sometimes she's waiting to see if the version of you she walked away from is still the version that's waiting for her. Women don't just respond to words. They respond to who you are beneath those words. Silence can make her curious, but only if the man behind that silence has actually grown. Short quote, she didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. The third false belief is the most dangerous. She'll come back if I prove my worth. You don't prove your worth. You reveal it. The more you try to prove, the more you signal that you don't believe in your own value, and that energy pushes her further than any mistake ever could. A man doesn't convince a woman to come back. He becomes someone she naturally gravitates toward again. Short quote. Chasing her pushes her away. Chasing yourself pulls her back. You're not waking up to harsh truths. You're waking up to the reality that you have far more control than you think. Not over her decisions, but over the man you are when she eventually looks your way again. Silence isn't about waiting, it's about becoming. And once you understand that, everything changes, including the way she sees you. The 1% Headman doesn't use silence as a tactic. He uses it as a mirror. While most men sit in silence, waiting, worrying, and wondering if she'll come back, he approaches the same moment from a completely different mindset. This is what he understands. Silence isn't a pause in the connection, it's a reset in himself. He doesn't sit there shaking with fear, checking his phone every 5 minutes. He knows that if his emotions aren't steady, nothing he does, silence or effort, will land with the right energy. So instead of obsessing over what she's thinking, he turns inward and asks, what energy am I leading with? That question alone separates him from 99% of men. Most guys think attraction is built in the moments when they're talking to her. The Headman knows the opposite. Attraction is reinforced in the moments when he's away. This is what he understands. A woman doesn't come back to a man who's waiting. She comes back to a man who's rising. While other men operate from pressure, he leads with presence. There's no panic in his silence, no bargaining in his mind, no mental tug of war. He's not trying to pull her closer. He's becoming the kind of man she naturally drifts back toward. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure, by making his life bigger, his focus sharper, and his emotional world calmer. He knows that her return isn't something he controls, but her attraction is something he influences through the man he's becoming. The 1% Headman isn't waiting for her to fill a void. He's filling it himself, with purpose, discipline, and self-respect. And in that transformation, something powerful happens. She doesn't just notice the silence, she feels the man behind it. There comes a moment in every man's silence where something shifts, not outside, but inside. At first, the quiet feels like punishment. You stare at your phone, replay old memories, scroll through conversations that feel like they belong to a different lifetime. The ache sits in your chest like a weight you can't lift, but then something subtle begins to change. Maybe it happens late at night when you're lying there listening to the hum of the fan, realizing you've spent more energy thinking about what she feels than paying attention to what you feel. Or maybe it hits you in the middle of the day when you're doing something simple, washing your face, tying your shoelaces, looking at your reflection, and suddenly you don't see the man who's been waiting. You see the man you were before the overthinking, before the fear, before the second guessing twisted your spine into knots. You feel it, that small flicker of strength returning, the kind that doesn't roar or demand attention. It just rises quietly, like a truth that's been trying to reach you for years. You realize you've been holding your breath for someone else's validation. You've been shrinking yourself to fit into the shape of her absence. And in that realization, something inside you straightens, like your soul finally remembers it has a backbone. You stop imagining her next move. You stop wondering what she's thinking. The silence no longer feels like a test you have to pass. It feels like space you get to breathe in. And in that breath, you rediscover a version of yourself you forgot, a man who doesn't chase love from emptiness but attracts it from fullness. This is the turning point, the moment where you stop waiting for her to come back and start returning to yourself. You started this journey wondering whether silence would push her away or pull her back. You felt the ache of waiting, the fear that she might forget you, the tension of staring at a phone that refused to light up with her name. But somewhere along the way, the silence stopped being about her and became about you. You learn that she doesn't return because you reach harder. She returns when she feels the difference in the man behind the quiet. You learn that absence isn't a strategy. It's a space where your value has room to breathe. And you learn that the moment you stop waiting for someone to choose you is the moment you finally start choosing yourself. The open question you carried, will she come back, shifts into something deeper. Will I still be the same man when she does? Because here's the truth most men never discover until it's too late. A woman doesn't come back to the silence you give her. She comes back to the strength you find inside it. And if you take only one thing with you from this entire journey, let it be this. When you stop abandoning yourself, that's when the world, including her, finds its way back to you.